Opposites Attract podcast. This is Sonia Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How was your life?
Going. And make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Are you good? Is that good? You good? Turned up?
Okay,
up,
that's
down.
better. I need to stick them in the ear.
Every week.
Okay.
Turn you up, turn you down.
No, I'm good.
Make sure you guys go to our website. When you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com, you'll see all the ways that you can follow the show. Like we've said before, the best thing you can do is share this with somebody else, share a clip with somebody, watch them subscribe, let them know that the podcast exists. If you guys are talking about something that we talk about here, be like, oh yeah, I heard about,
This
I heard
couple was
somebody.
talking shit last week about that.
Oh, dude, they're fucking nuts. You should listen to the shit they talk about. Crazy. Anyway, yeah. Subscribe, like, comment, all that.
Yes.
Definitely helps.
Yes. So
what's up, yo?
I went to a retreat this past weekend. It was a 3-day retreat. It wasn't
not a retreat.
overnight.
You weren't overnight.
They call it a retreat.
They called it a retreat?
But it just wasn't overnight. And I wasn't even aware of the retreat because I was working on mine. And I had a friend who inboxed me and said that they were gifting some stuff, and she tagged me. And
you won and you went.
Yep. And so when I'm sitting here at this event, because I was judging the event because of the person that was actually hosting the event, was very like, well, this is how I was judging her because I didn't know her. I met her like one time before. She was one of my friends. She was coaching under one of my friends.
Okay.
And so I had met her the first time and I was congratulating her on her success. And it was kind of like a very cold brush, like not really interacting. Oh,
hey,
thank you.
Good job over there.
Right? It was kind of like, oh, thank you. But it wasn't like there was no eye contact. And I'm really huge when it comes to that, right? When you're with somebody. Yes. And I didn't feel that with her. And so when I won the ticket, a lot of it, the way she like dresses and the way she reminds me of the old me when I was full of ego and full of
pride. So she's not wearing flowy stuff. She's like in a suit.
Or
nails done, heels.
Very showy, like boobs are showing, legs are showing.
Check me out.
Kind of like how I was.
Yeah.
Right? And all like a boss bitch. Like that's how I saw her, like a boss bitch. And my energy just does not like
what is
flow
it?
With
the
that
HBIC?
anymore, right? And so when I first went, it's funny because I was thinking to myself, especially with going, even just to figure out what I was going to wear, my outfit. And I talked to you about this. I walk into my closet and I turn to the left and there are all my suits, like my power suits, right? And then I turn to the right and I see that's all like my flowy, like my boho. That's what they call it, right? All my boho, my flowy,
like bohemian, I think that's what that is.
Right? And I'm like, I'm not feeling the suits today. But what I was imagining is that every woman in that room was going to be dressed like that.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, do I want to fit in? And I'm like, nah. I'm not playing that game. Like, I am who I am. And this is how I'm feeling today. So this is what I'm going to wear today. And maybe tomorrow I'll want to wear a suit. But today, like, this is how I'm feeling.
I think I told you when you were talking about that. I was like, what costume do you want to wear?
Right. Right. And so anyways, I walk into this event and it's very diverse. It is not that. Like, it's very diverse.
When you say diverse, is it like
you had your spiritual individual? Yes. And then you had
the boss
women
bitches.
In suits. And then you had people that were just, women that were wearing like sundresses.
I said that
like
with respect.
Feminine, right? And so
you said
as I'm watching her though, like watching her on stage and seeing her and just really getting in with what she's doing, I was inspired. I didn't feel that our energies matched, right? As her being a coach of mine, I don't feel that energy matched because I did meet someone where the energy was just amazing. But there was something there, and I don't know what it was, but it didn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But witnessing it and seeing her, because she's a millionaire. She's only 31 years old and she's a multimillionaire, right?
Yeah.
But she doesn't have a family. You know what I'm saying? And so she has her time to do the thing that she needs to do or wants to do.
Yeah.
But I was able to witness the masculine energy within her and the feminine energy within her. And the reason why I was so put off by her masculine energy was because I had an unhealthy, and I don't know what hers is, but I had an unhealthy masculine energy where I was chasing the dollar, right? Where I wasn't who I am today. I was very egotistic. I was very prideful. So it wasn't a healthy masculine. And just to define, I want to define what is that? Because some people may have not heard of that term, like, you know, masculine. Like, what is she talking about? Like masculine energy. So you going to put that in my mouth?
Yup. I'm gonna try to anyway.
Dude, we're recording. Anyways, so a healthy masculine is knowledge, action, willpower, rational, protective, problem-solving, strength, directness, not looking for approval, structured, goal-oriented, conquering, and linear in thinking.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of times when women are in business, the masculine is what
has to take over.
Yes. Well, not take over. It has to have that feminine
dominates.
balance, because when you network,
but it dominates more
to
than
be balanced, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like getting up, it's having that self-discipline, it's having that structure, it's being goal-oriented, it's getting after it.
Yeah. And women have to turn that up because since the beginning of history, society has been ran by men.
Right.
So if you get a woman in business, they got to turn that masculine all the way up and almost like out masculine the dudes.
No, I wouldn't say that, because that there will create an unhealthy relationship, whether it's in business or
I don't know if you've been in corporate environments where you have.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I was thinking about us because I'm in like I own my own. Okay. No. Yeah. Because I worked in that as a paralegal. I was surrounded, especially at a law
It's like
firm.
as a woman, you got to show dudes like what's up.
Yes.
And it's almost even more than dudes would.
Right.
Right. It comes at like sometimes depending on the person.
Yeah. And a lot of men find that very attracting.
Yeah. Some do.
Yeah. A lot do.
Yeah.
Like I remember that. Like
Who
I
was it?
remember that very
50
much.
Cent talked about that. Yep.
Yeah. And that was me, but it wasn't a healthy masculine. Right. But you don't know that. He doesn't know that. Right. Until you're with that person for a while and you're like, something's not right here.
Yeah.
And so being overly masculine and unhealthy masculine, you don't allow your man to step into that role. You belittle your man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well,
you
that in
that.
a relationship, yep.
Yeah. And so a healthy feminine is intuition, flowy, magnetizing rather than forcing, emotional, balanced, nurturing, vulnerability, graceful, subtle, cares about like self and others, like just having that very
empathetic.
Yeah, nurturing spirit.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing when you, like for me, when I saw that dance, I'm like,
dude, you just
that is me.
You just said something that reminded me. I was listening to this video by Alan Watts. He was talking about yin and yang.
Yes.
And just like
that's it.
Everything. And you just brought up like you were talking about like the empathy and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I was like thinking, like, if people need help, right? For a guy, most times if you have a family, I mean, we could talk about COVID because that was a perfect example. It's like, if it's coming down to the survival of our family, I don't give a shit about anybody else. We are number one. We are first. I mean, if it comes down to it, I'm going to have to do some shit that I don't want to do. That's a man mentality. By any means necessary, my family will survive.
Right.
But for you, it's like, if I'm thinking about something, you're like, hold on a second. Let's think about the other people a little bit, you know? You know, and that's like the balance.
Yeah. Yeah. And so a woman, when she is balanced, can make miracles happen. Like, can create from that space of, I want to create a coaching business, and just laying it out. Like doing the thing that she needs to do, but also knowing when to ask for help. Right? Yeah. Like, if you know someone who is better at and doing that, it's okay to be like, hey, can you share with me how you did this or how you're doing that? That's the feminine, not having to know it all. Right?
Is that the feminine? I don't know if that, like, there are some things that are
How hard is it for a man to ask for directions?
You say that. Whatever.
No, but most men, a lot of men, okay? By the way, if you're a man and watching this, put a comment. Let us know if that is you.
Yeah, comment down below.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
You know? But having that balance of both masculine and feminine, it's such a beautiful dance.
Yeah. Dude, I got to share that video with you. I got to think about it, because he was talking about, like, it's everything in life, the yin and the yang, like good and evil, like everything.
And when you're well balanced, people will witness that. They'll see that around you if they're aware, though. Like, if they're aware.
Right.
With you, in order for me to open you up to love, I had to be straight feminine. And I think that's why I went way over. I had to be feminine. I had to love. I had to nurture.
I had
to humble.
Dude, that's one of the biggest problems in society today. Is just the way, like, people have seen the roles and the way they change. Like, because if you think about it, like, all this equality shit has fucked everything up. It's like everything is the same. Like, no, I gotta be a fucking bad motherfucker just like all the dudes, and I gotta do this and I gotta do that. Like, I got all my own shit, and it's like, well, what the fuck you need me for? Go do your fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and there's just a natural thing about that. Like, we've talked about, it's like the duty of a man. There's something in us that just makes you want to take care of your family.
Right.
To have a family, to, like, protect your wife, your kids, to provide for them. Like, it's just a thing, you know? And when you don't allow a guy to do that, it ruins, like, the foundation of the relationship.
Yeah.
That there was a video that I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before, but I've thought about mentioning it. So if I haven't, but they were talking about when a guy, or when your husband or the person that you're with asks you if they can help you with something. Right. And one of the things that it said was, like, if your man asks you, can I help you with this? Even if you can do it, let him do it, because he wants to help you. And that is, like, part of a man's sense of purpose, is the fulfillment, you know? Not for every man, but if you're a real man. No, I'm just kidding. You know? But it's a natural thing, you know?
And so as I've been taking in this dance between masculine and feminine, I've been stepping into that, and things have just been happening.
Yeah.
Right? Well, not just happening, because I'm creating that. I'm making it happen, right? I'm making the calls. I'm doing the PowerPoint presentations. Yeah. I'm doing all that. I'm taking notes. I'm studying. I'm doing those things, right? And, like, going to the gym is having that self-discipline to get up in the morning and to go. So I've been, back in my routine again, and really, actually, strength training. pushing myself, where
Good.
I'm just like maxed out, where I can't even lift another set. I'm just like done.
Yeah.
And that's part of that. For me, it's part of that masculine of pushing through what's uncomfortable.
Right.
It's the planks. It's doing the cold plunges. It's doing the hard thing.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Maybe I've kind of recently had to like, I guess you might call this the feminine side, but I've had a similar thought about working out. I actually had it written down because I wanted to talk about, like, a lot of times somebody maybe with my personality, maybe it's a masculine thing or a man thing like you're talking about, but there is something about the routine and the discipline.
Yeah.
It's like, this is
Every
fucking day. Let's fucking do this every day. You know what and if you don't, you're a piece of shit. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, that's been my whole fucking life, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I make these minimums or these things for myself. Like, I do this every fucking time without fail. And then recently I've been kind of thinking, I'm like, dude, I'm supposed to do this shit until the day that I die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm supposed to like be active and athletic and doing stuff until the day that I fucking die. Like, I don't like doing this in the first place. I mean, you know, I enjoy some stuff, like, you know, but for the most part, I don't.
Yeah.
You know, so then I start thinking about it and I'm like, okay, if I have to do this until the day that I fucking die, I got to change my mindset about this fucking thing. Like, it cannot be like every fucking day I got to do this. It's like, you know what? How about if something comes up, fuck it. Now, that is a very slippery slope.
Right.
Which is the same thoughts that I'm having at the same exact time. It's like, I cannot, if I'm going to go to this mindset, and it happened, it came up because things were happening. I think Audrey had something, you know what it was? Joey ripped off his toenail. Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
We were going to jiu-jitsu. Joey freaking rips off his toenail on the way to jiu-jitsu. And it's like, this is fucking day 2, baby. We got 3 to go this week. And he rips off a toenail. I'm like, tape that shit up. We're fucking going, you know? But then it's like, no, he can't go. And then I'm like, I'm still going because I'm fucking crazy. And my son's like missing a toenail, you know? And then I was kind of thinking, I was like, you know what? I'm going to hang out with him, make sure he's okay. Inside, I'm kind of feeling like, is this a cop-out? You know?
It's good because you're asking yourself. The awareness is great.
And I'm like, you know what? And that's when the thoughts started coming. You know what? Joey ripped his toenail off. He could probably use his dad. I could go to the gym, but I'm going to stay here with him. I have a reason, a legit reason to stay with him and not go train. The other thing was that I also like put too much on myself. It was like every single day I do 100 pull-ups. Every single day I do 100 burpees and I go train 3 times a week and I fucking this and you know, and I was like, you know what? How about I'll work out, but if I have jiu-jitsu that day, if I don't work out, fuck it. Who cares? Shit happens. Or maybe days that I train jiu-jitsu, I do not work out. And the days that I don't train jiu-jitsu, I do work out and I take a day off. Yeah. But it's kind of like this give and take because I'm like, dude, if I'm supposed to do this for the rest of my life, I got to figure out a way to make this work.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the only way that I could see. That's the only way that I could see it being effective and being able to do it long term.
Yeah.
You know,
that's having a healthy balance and knowing yourself. Like, you really have to know yourself and be aware of yourself.
Yeah.
Like you said, like I was messing with you the other day. He was on the bed and I go and I'm straddling him and I'm like, baby, stay home.
You don't have to go to jiu-jitsu today?
Go, baby.
You suck.
But playing devil's advocate over here. But no, you do have to have that balance. It's like those days where I don't want to go to the gym. Like, I'm just feeling really tired, fatigued. Maybe it's that time of the month. It's coming. And I'm just like, I just don't want to go. And I'll give myself that time, the time I need, but I won't fester in that. And I will, after a day or two, I'm like, okay, well, you're going to the gym. let's do some yoga.
Yeah.
Let's stretch. Let's move. And just showing up. Like that is like, that's it. Just show up.
Yeah.
Just show up.
And also like the letting things go. One thing that it reminds me of is something that we learned in the business that we met in a long time ago, where, you know, it was a sales thing. So you have to go out and meet people and get new prospects and clients and stuff like that. So one of the things they would teach us is like, you got to go out and meet at least 2 new people if you're part-time, or 3 to 5 people if you're full-time. 3 new people every day, and share with them what you do. That's the only way that you build a business, is if people are knowing what you're doing. Makes sense. But a lot of times, like, or, you know, people do what they do. You procrastinate. Maybe you're supposed to do 5, you only do 2. Maybe you're supposed to do 5, you only do 1. And now I got 4 left. Or maybe you do none. And then a lot of times people feel like, well, tomorrow I'll do 7. Tomorrow I'll do 10.
Right.
Instead, and it's like, well, what if you don't do it tomorrow? And then now it's 30, and then 40. And then it becomes a number that's so big that you don't even want to get started.
Yeah. And you're feeling bad. You're feeling shame.
And you're feeling horrible about the whole thing because you've been missing shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know what? The best thing you could do is fucking forget about it all and just start fresh now.
Yes. Self-betrayal, that's self-betrayal. You made an agreement with yourself that you were going to do A, B, and C, right?
We got to understand this is human nature, though.
Right.
You know,
right.
We're going to drive ourselves freaking crazy doing that shit.
Yeah. You just, again, you got to know you. You have to be aware of you. Know when you're bullshitting yourself, right? Know when you're making an excuse to not go, right? It's exactly what you did. It's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
Right? And then giving yourself some freedom, right?
Yeah.
And working in that space. When I picked up Adriana today, I was just admiring her. And I notice that she has a healthy balance of masculine and feminine. Right?
Yeah.
Like she pushes herself to do hard things.
Yeah, she does.
Remember when she was in, what is that, track?
Yeah, she used to freaking hustle.
Yeah.
Dude, and when she goes to jiu-jitsu now, like I see her throwing down, like she'll get put in bad spots, but she tries to fight out of it. She gets up and keeps scrapping. You know,
And she loves deeply.
Yeah.
She loves deeply. She's empathetic. But she also has that fight in her, that healthy fight. Not because she feels she has to prove. Not because she has to prove who she is to anybody. It's because it's within her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was sharing that with her. I was telling her. And like breaking down what that even means.
What do you mean?
The masculine and feminine energy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's cool.
Right?
That's
and
awesome.
And sometimes it can be off, especially for little boys that don't have a dad in their life, or they don't have that male figure in their life, and they're raised with a mother. You'll see that they lean more towards the feminine versus the masculine.
Dude, I have a feeling like this. It's a lot. Like the impact that, I mean, being a guy, but the impact that men have on society is huge. I mean, if you look at what we were talking about earlier, you know, like just the equality and the roles that we play. And then when you think about how many relationships and marriages and, you know, whatever end up splitting, and then you have a single mom and there's a kid that's being raised without a dad, you know, like how, like that's a common thing.
Yeah.
And the disappearance of men has to have an effect. And I think you're seeing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that's why it really does take a village to raise these children. I can't wait till your mom and your stepdad, your dad, they move here. Because I feel like they're going to have a pretty big impact on our children. They always have.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, because they get to learn outside of our home as well and see the difference.
Yeah.
In how we parent versus someone else's parent, you know, how they parent, and get that, you know, when Adriana brings her friends around, especially she has this one who's very close to me. And he's like 6. How tall is he? He's tall.
That dude's big.
Yeah. And he
like
just
6'2".
loves on me. He was going through a hard time. And I asked Audrey, would you like me to help him? Would he like my help? And he said yes. And it was so beautiful to see him light up.
Yeah.
Like for him to really step into who he is. And it was like that one session. And every time he comes, what does he do?
Oh, he comes and gives you a hug. He's a sweetheart.
And he'll hold me like for a while. It's not just a hug. And he thanks me
awesome.
every time. So it takes a village.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we've had an impact on some of the kids around here.
Yeah.
You know, and the other families have an impact on our kids when they see them too, you know. And yeah, like you said, it takes a village. Yeah.
And I think the whole tribe, you talk about it.
Yeah.
Like how we were meant to be in community.
That's another book that I got to listen to again. It's called Tribe. I can't remember who the guy that wrote it, Sebastian Unger. Yeah. And it talks about tribe. It talks about like the military units, the groups, like the bond that they develop and all that. But yeah, you know, a crazy thought that I actually had this the other day, and I was just kind of thinking, like, I wonder if guys that are tall have like any, I don't know if you would call it like a depression or anxiety type thing, because for some reason, like it just kind of is. Sometimes you look at a guy and just the fact that he's fucking big makes it seem like they got their shit together or they know something, or like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
What made you say that? What makes you even think that? Where's that coming from?
One of the things is like, if you look at most of the CEOs in America, they're all 6 foot and above. There's just something about a tall man that seems like he's competent.
That's interesting. I've never noticed that.
You've never noticed that? Mm-hmm. That is a thing. But like if you look it up, like most CEOs in America that are male or leaders of companies or whatever are over 6 foot. Huh. You know, and this week, it's funny because I've been learning a lot of different things recently about life, about all kinds of stuff, just crazy things, crazy realizations that I'll talk about. But like where I work is close to our executive offices, right? And somebody walks by, like you said, in a power suit, big dude, whatever. And I look and I smile. You know, hey, how's it going? Good morning. But at the same time, I'm like, there is no difference between me and him or anybody else. I was like, in fact, this dude could be shitting his fucking pants right now. Like, and because just because you're tall doesn't make you any fucking, how many people
I see what you're
in
saying.
the fucking world, like, you know, like they have anxiety, they have all these things, they think all different kind of ways, all fucked up and crazy.
Right.
You know, and it's just like,
ooh, that's too much to take on.
You know what? I was just like, I just wonder. Yeah. And sometimes just like being a tall person, just the fact that people look at you like, hey,
the expectation,
what the fuck? You know, and you're like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
You know,
like
I'm just
having
big.
that expectation.
You know what I mean?
Behind
I don't know.
that.
I wonder if that's a thing.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean?
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. And I say that because when I used to wear those power suits, right, and walk into a place, you get a certain, it's so stupid. Like you get a certain respect. Like, well, and maybe it's because the other people
they're in their own thing
a certain way, right? Like
that's if
it's just it's a costume. It's another mask. Right. That's what it is. It's a costume. It's another mask.
Yeah.
You know. Well, I can't say it's another mask because you can wear that power suit. I can wear that power suit today, And it's not because I'm hiding behind it.
Yeah. It's just because you're wearing it for whatever you're doing.
Because I felt like wearing it.
Yeah.
You know? But sometimes it's a cover
Yeah.
for the insecurity or whatever is happening
Right.
within.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Ego, pride, like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of a crazy thought. There was something you were talking about, well, we were talking about parents and all that stuff, but there was a video that I wanted to share with you. Before we do that, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you guys go to our website, you'll see all the ways that you can follow the podcast. You can follow us at Opposite Pod on everything. Like I said before, the best thing you can do is share this with somebody else. Follow our clips channel, Opposites Attract Podcast Clips, which is separate from the regular channel, and you can share that with somebody. And we got all the different short clips on stuff that we talk about. And you know what? Last week, we got into some shit. Holy fuck. It's a lot. It's a lot, you know, what's happening in the world, happening in the country. And I'm sorry if I bring people down with some of this stuff. Like, I really do. I don't want to make this fucking show like that where it's just a down. Like, but we do need to be aware of stuff, you know? That kind of has to do with something else that I want to talk about, but we'll get into that. Like I was saying, make sure you share this with somebody else. And if you guys want to help out the show, you can go to the support the show tab. When you click on that, it'll take you to our Amazon link. Anything that you purchase, Mother's Day's coming up.
Yes, yes.
If you guys are buying anything for your moms and you purchase it through our link, it'll help us out. We'll get a little kickback whenever you guys shop, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. And another way that you can help us out is
you can go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod and buy us a virtual drink. You can also subscribe to that on a monthly basis as well.
Yep. And yeah, thanks for listening, following, supporting us.
Yes.
And doing all that
good
stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I was saying that there was a video that I wanted to share with you. There's this guy. He's pretty popular out there. His name is Mari Emanuel, and he's like this Christian preacher, and he gives a lot of really good lessons. And there was a video that I watched of his that I wanted to share with you, and we can kind of talk about it. And the video is called "Why You Should Forgive Your Parents." By Mari
I was just talking about
Emanuel.
that today to someone on the phone.
Let's check it out.
But what made it possible? The mercy. The cross, Jesus of Nazareth. Now, finale. If you are not aware of this, well, I'm bringing it to your attention. God's mercy works in proportion to the percentage of forgiveness you show to others. I'll put it in simple English. How much you forgive, how much you get mercy from God. Or that much you get mercy from God. You forgive 10%, you get 10%. There was this girl that was always feeling sad, upset, hurt, you know. So she went to this person to pray on her. He started praying on her, but she's still crying.
You know the story?
She's feeling bad. And then she said, no, I don't feel nothing. I feel like Jesus hasn't forgiven me. I don't feel his presence. I don't feel nothing. He said, no, Jesus has forgiven you. He loves you. But she says, no, there's nothing. I don't feel nothing. And he kept on praying and on praying and on praying, and she felt nothing. Empty. Then the Holy Spirit put it in his head. He said, go and tell this girl to say right now that she forgives her parents for being bad to her. Apparently, her parents have harmed this girl emotionally with a lot of things, and she held this grudge, this hatred towards them. She never forgave her parents. Never. And this guy kept on praying. She says, I'm feeling nothing. Jesus doesn't love me. The Holy Spirit says, go and tell her to forgive her parents. They hurt her, yes, but tell her to forgive them. And he went back to her and said, the Holy Spirit just told me to tell you, you must forgive your parents for what they did to you. He said, the moment she meant it from the heart, the moment she said, I forgive mom and dad, he said, absolute joy and happiness swept her right in and inside out. And she started crying. and she felt absolutely happy, joyous, at peace. Why? Because the more you let go, the more you receive from God. Love, the proof of love is in the swiftness of forgiveness. Forgive so that you may be forgiven. When you forgive someone, it does not mean you trust that someone. When you forgive someone, it does not mean straight away you go back and trust them with your life. That trust has to be proven by that someone, has to be built back, has to be rebuilt. They have to prove their trust. But your job to forgive, it's yours. But to bring that trust back, it's their job, because they broke that trust. They have to reinstate it. Some people say, well, they haven't forgiven me because they don't trust me. No, they have. But they are waiting for you to prove that they are worthy of their trust again. Because you've damaged that trust. You need to reinstate it and fix it. But they have forgiven you. You must forgive. It's a must. It's not a choice. Because if you are searching for God's mercy, which is your salvation, then if you are searching for God's mercy, which is your salvation, then to receive that salvation, that mercy, you must forgive those who have hurt you. You must forgive. God bless you. Yeah. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from
evil. And that's pretty much it. We've all heard the Lord's Prayer.
Beautiful. Because it's true. Whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, that is true.
Yeah.
And I have witnessed it. I have played a lot in forgiveness.
Yeah.
So much that your ex has put us through the ringer.
Yeah. Before you go on to something else, because I want to share. Yeah. But this is forgiveness of your parents. We were talking. This is what this video is about. The video, I agree with a lot of what he is saying, but there is, I don't know if you caught it, but there is something within the video that is just straight up not right. The video starts out by saying that you will receive from God the amount of mercy that you give. You forgive your parents, God will forgive you. So the reason that you want to forgive is not sincere. Still, he's missing the point. The reason that he's telling you to forgive is so that God can forgive you, which is not forgiving sincerely. Because you're only forgiving so that you can be forgiven. You're not forgiving them because you understand what they've been through. You see, I've talked about my dad on this podcast. I've talked about going to bed, hearing my stepmoms being abused. I've talked about me getting pulled out of the bed by my hair and getting spanked at night. I've talked about my dad being on night shift his entire life and me asking him, how come you don't go on day shift so that we can spend time together? Because he likes waking up late, and that's more important. So he was on night shift. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I've forgiven my dad. Not because I want to be forgiven for anything.
Right.
Because I understand who my dad is, what he's been through. It doesn't mean that it changes our relationship and it changes everything in the world, but I understand what it is. He came from Ecuador. He was beat growing up. He listened to the same, that's where it comes from. And when you think about my dad as a little boy, going through all these things, going through all these traumas, how do you expect him to be when he grows up? That's why I can forgive him. Not because I want to be forgiven for something else.
Yeah. So you got triggered with the word God. Okay. I have forgiven, not because I want forgiveness from God.
Babe, you're missing the point. What I'm talking about is that's what he is saying. If you want forgiveness from God, you must forgive, which is the reason for forgiving. It's wrong.
In that video. Okay. Yes. In that video.
If that's your perspective, if that's your reason for forgiving your parents because you want to be forgiven by God for your sins, that is the wrong reason to forgive your parents. Try to understand who they were. Try to understand what they've been through. Understand what their parents have been through that led their parents to raise them in that way. You might be fucking surprised.
Yeah.
Because times were different.
Yeah. It depends on where you are in your life. If you're religious, then you can. I understand what you're saying, and I understand the point that you're coming across or that you're trying to bring forward. I understand. Yeah. Because if you're forgiving to be forgiven, it's not coming from a pure place within. It's coming from a selfish place within.
Yeah. Because you don't want to go to hell.
To forgive is also releasing the bottled energy that's sitting within yourself. So it doesn't matter if you do it for yourself. Well, God, it's
well, you know what? I think he's mistaken. Because I think if you're forgiving your parents because you want to be forgiven from God, you still won't release that. You still won't let that go, and you're still going to have the trauma. You're still going to feel like shit. Yes. You're still going to have that guilt.
I shared this with you.
But when you can forgive your parents with understanding of
what
that they were
went
just
through.
Kids
Yes.
that were abused, that went through their own shit.
Yeah.
There is no manual to being a parent.
Right.
Like, some parents do the best they can. Some parents don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you understand and you can forgive the child parent, then it helps you. That's when you release everything, that guilt, all the feeling, how come they don't fucking this? How come they don't do that? And it's like, dude, they've been through some shit.
And you will never get to that point. Well, you can, but I'm saying if you get to know your parents as a human, right? But some people don't have that opportunity because their parents are no longer here.
Look, my dad's in Miami, and he's not going to listen to this podcast. You know, I don't, like, we barely talk, you know? So it's not, I understand what it is. We can build a relationship if he wants. That I'm open for whatever, you know, but as far as like holding on to guilt that I feel or whatever, I know what it is.
Yeah.
I can let it go and move on with my life.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand it, I mean, I do. It is what it is. I have kids that I need to spend time with, you know?
But you hold no resentment within your
don't.
being
It is
for
what
your
it
father.
Is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
He's been through some shit.
Yeah. And so just understanding that,
shit.
right?
Yeah.
Like just understanding that and seeing him and knowing his past and knowing like his, you know, the inner child within him. You know they say hurt people, sad people make other people sad.
And when you start going down this path is when you can start, you see,
when you're looking for something outside of yourself.
When you're going down this path of forgiveness, if you're doing it the way he's saying, it's wrong. It's just straight up wrong. Because as you start going down this path of forgiveness and you think about your parents as kids and you can forgive your parents as kids, and then you start thinking about, well, damn, if they were just fucked up people doing their best. And then I think about, well, they were raising me. And look at some of the crazy shit that I fucking lived through and I've been through and experiences that I've had. And then from time to time, I've done some dumb shit, crazy stuff or whatever that I'm not proud of, or, you know, and you feel guilt. But then if you can fucking process it all and be like, they did the best they could. They were babies at one time. I was a baby. I remember it. I remember those feelings of being alone and all, and shame and guilt and all these things. But we're all just babies that grew up. Yeah. And you can have grace with your parents. You can have it with yourself. Yes. And you can have it with everybody around you, because you know we've all been through some shit.
Yes.
And when you can forgive people from that place, and not because if I forgive, God will forgive me.
Right.
You can actually genuinely release some shit.
Right.
And fucking live your life.
Right. Yeah. Like, for instance, when I came clean with you, and I know we're talking about parents right now. Well, let's keep it on parents. So, with my father, if I would have went in to church and confessed, or, you know, talked to somebody there, and this is when you do something wrong or vice versa, and you leave it there, but you haven't had that conversation. Like, the truth wasn't set for you. The truth will set you free. That's what they say. But the truth only went to God. It didn't actually go to the other person.
Yeah, and you ask God to forgive you. You're not forgiving them.
You know? Or asking for forgiveness, or apologizing.
Well, maybe because you feel like shit about feeling this way towards your dad, so you go to confession, confess some shit because you feel like shit. It's like, God, forgive me for how I feel, but you're not forgiving your dad.
Right. Right. But because you've released it to God, you feel that you're going to feel better, but you're not going to feel better because you haven't really released it.
And if you're saying, I don't need to fucking forgive him for shit because that much, you gotta think about it differently. Yeah. Because that's a different, if that's the thought, you have to think about it differently. You got to think about your parents as kids, as babies, as vulnerable babies that just got drugged through this life by their parents. And what the hell did they do?
Not knowing any better. Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, like, where did your dad grow up? Like, it was probably fucking nuts.
And what year?
What year was it?
Right.
Where did my dad grow up? In
what
Ecuador
roles?
In the 60s?
Right. And what
was happening there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How was he influenced? And then he came to this country? Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can have a little empathy, but you can genuinely forgive that way. Yeah. You know? Another thing that I wanted to get into, I've had some, like, I was mentioning it earlier. Man, recently I've been going through a lot of stuff, and I want to share some stuff that has been crossing my mind. A lot of the stuff I've been bringing up, you know, just kind of reflecting on, you know, what happened back in the day with Jesus and religion. Like, how did this turn into what it is today, and all of that. And recently I've had some realizations, or some, like, connecting of dots that it's just been pretty crazy. And normally, like, I would keep, whenever I'm out in public, like, I keep my opinions about all this stuff to myself, even though here I talk about it because it feels like, you know, this is our thing. This is my place to talk, you know? But in public, I'm not really, like, offering up my fucking opinion. If somebody's talking about religion, I just, like, I fucking don't say peep, because I don't even want to get into it with people, you know? Because it's not, I don't care that much out there. But it is what I think about, like, the purpose of life. How did this whole thing come about? Like, what are we doing? What's going to happen? And all that. And we get people that knock on the door. And the other day, I shared a video with you. And I think I talked about it here. It was an Alan Watts video where he talks about the story of the astronaut that went up into space. And they asked him, and he said he saw God. And they said, so what did God look like? And he said, she is black. And listening, this is a video by Alan Watts. And if you haven't watched anything from Alan Watts, I suggest you guys check it out. That, I mean, he's just, the way he explains things and the way he thinks is just, makes so much sense, and is like, it's crazy. But these Mormon kids came by. And they said that they had dropped you off
They were looking for
a
me.
Bible. They were looking for Sonja.
We had
you
such
know?
a good conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were like, yeah, we had dropped off the Book of Mormon like not too long ago or whatever. And we were just wondering, just wanted to come by and say hi or whatever. And I was like, oh, yeah, Sonja's not here. She's at a weekend retreat thing. I was like, yeah. And but you know them. Like, they're friendly and they'll talk. And I'm like, yeah. And we not got into it, but we started talking. And I just told them, I was like, I just, or maybe they asked me. And I was just like, to be honest, like, I don't believe. I was like, and then, like I said, I usually don't talk to people. It's like, I got shit going on. I'm going back inside. You guys go fucking knock on somebody else's door. But I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a moment and see where this goes. And I was like, yeah, I don't believe. I was like, you guys met my wife. And, if you were to put things on a spectrum, I was like, with, being religious on one side, 100, and non-religious, non-spiritual, none of that on the other side, I'm probably like at the 1% on this side. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how I am. And I was sharing to them the story about the astronaut. And it made, like, they were just like, I kind of like scrambled their brain in a couple minutes. They were like, it was just like thinking of different things. Like, anybody that knows, I don't even want to get into it. One of the things that came up when I was talking to these guys was writing down thoughts. Because these thoughts have been coming to me. Like, when you think about stuff deeply for long periods of time, your thoughts start crossing. Because, like I've said, my beliefs have to do with all kinds of different things. It has to do with science. It has to do with human nature. It has to do with all kinds of stuff, right? So the thoughts are coming from all different angles. And one thought leads to another thought that leads to another thought. And then you don't think something out completely. And I was like, I need to start writing. I was like, because I'm coming to some realizations that I need to write down how I'm getting to this, because I can explain this in a way that makes sense and clearly, kind of like how Alan Watts does in his videos, right? But the only way to be able to express yourself is to be able to write it down, think it clearly,
Write your thoughts.
and regurgitate it when you get the opportunity. Like, it's practice. Like I was thinking about Alan Watts is a great speaker, great at explaining what he does, but he's probably did it for so freaking long to get that good. Anybody that's a master can make things seem simple that are super complicated. And so I had this conversation with these guys, and another thing that came up was just faith. And I'm just like, look, I can't fake it. Faith is something that you can't fake. At least I can't. I don't have any. In God or in any of these things, like in the supernatural, I just don't. And there is like genuinely no way for me to feel differently about that unless, like, I know what it takes. And it's going to take for me to have an experience. And not only that, it's going to have to be explained in a way, But I kind of like left them with that. I was like, I'm sorry, but you just can't fake faith. And that's just who I am. I am who I am. I was like, I do want the best for people. I want the best for you guys. I want the best for the world, the planet, because I have a family. I have kids that are going to be here when I'm not here. That's why I want the best for the world. It's a lot. It's a lot to think about. Oh, man, I can't even do it justice because, like I said, there's a lot that goes into it. But one thing that I did and I have started doing is writing down some thoughts that I'm having so that I can organize them in a way that makes sense and that I can explain them. And once I get this one down, I will come back and share it because I feel it is mind blowing. And I've shared it with you in a way and I haven't written it down. But once I do, like what do you think about the things that I have recently been telling you? I sound like I'm fucking crazy, right?
We've been talking about so much, about so many different things.
All right. I'm gonna try,
and
because this is what I'm gonna do. One, I had, if you want to call it, a spiritual experience in a couple days ago.
That's what some of us that are spiritual.
Listen, I had a deep spiritual experience after listening to the video about She Is Black, after listening to the record of the Voyager spacecraft, of what we sent out into space, that in case there's life out there, that they would know who we are, even if we're not around anymore, most likely.
Right.
You know, like, that's a fucking deep thing to think that we sent out a spacecraft with information that if somehow, some way, something can play it, they would hear what Earth was like and what, like, that we were here.
Right.
That's crazy.
It is.
It's a super deep thought. Sitting with these guys, the Mormon guys, and having these moments with them over the past few days, there's been thoughts that I've had where it literally makes me, in the kitchen, I put my hands on the counter and I just put my fucking head down. I put my head down and I was like, what the fuck? And literally, I think it was when I was listening to the song Children of Planet Earth by Melody Sheep. Look it up on YouTube. Somebody made a video, and it's the record that is on the Voyager spacecraft. It's
beautiful.
And it's
Maybe
the
we'll
sound.
play it next time for you
Yeah,
guys.
it's the sound of kids in different languages saying hello, the sound of trains, the sounds of crickets, the sound of what life is like here.
Right.
Right? And I had this moment where it sounds crazy, but I feel like I'm figuring out exactly what Jesus was doing. What he felt, what he was thinking, and what he was trying to teach.
Yes.
It sounds fucking crazy.
It doesn't sound crazy.
Well, to 99.9% of people, it sounds fucking crazy. That. But when I had that moment and I put my head down, in my head, I heard the only way, because not only am I having all these things happening, but I'm also seeing everything that's happening in the world. I'm also seeing, we watched that video last week. That was freaking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Right? So all these things are coming into my mind. I'm figuring some stuff out. I'm seeing the destruction around the planet. I'm seeing the division. I'm seeing all this stuff. And when I have my head down on the counter, I think the only way to change the world is to teach. Those are literally the words that I heard in my head. The only way to change the world is to teach.
And that's what I call download.
And right after that, the next thing was, you can only teach if somebody's willing to listen. Now, because I am who I am, I heard those words loud and clear in my head.
Yes.
Because I am a 0, pretty much, on the spirituality scale.
Right.
I fully understand what just happened to me. I did have a very deep moment of enlightenment, of consciousness, of whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
But what it was...
I would call it a spiritual awakening.
Yes, I know you would.
Yeah.
But what it actually was an accumulation of experiences, of emotions, of information that made me have feelings about something. It's like when I've heard...
Makes 100% sense.
But it's not spiritual.
No.
Right? That's exactly
for me, it would be. For you, it's not. But I see what you're saying.
It either is or it isn't. Because I'm telling you, okay,
well,
so then we get to this other God thing. He and I are one or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So where did that message come from? It came from me, from here.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you are God as God is. You are. Yes.
But
I agree with all of
But
this.
that's the thing, is that people want to assign it that thing. It's just me having thoughts, accumulations of thoughts and experiences, information.
It's higher consciousness.
Wanting to make this thing more than it is a problem.
I understand what you're saying. And
Because
I understand exactly what you're saying.
It's a slippery slope because it heads.
Yeah, I know that. And I believe the way you believe in that. And
Well, you've had your own experiences.
exactly. And I cannot explain that.
But what I would like to share, yes, this is a perfect example because of when you had your experience and what happened or whatever, it's like, this was what happened to me. I had this experience. It is undeniable.
See, you're searching.
I had an experience after how much knowledge that I have now.
Yeah.
So I am not mistaking this.
Right.
I know what it is.
So for me, I wasn't searching, looking stuff up. You just said you're looking at all this information, and what you came up with was an accumulation of research, emotions, things that were going on. During my spiritual experience back in 2013, I wasn't looking for God.
I
wasn't
understand
looking
that.
for anything.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that you had a feeling that made this thing concrete, it was a feeling that felt like it came from God, right?
It was more
which
than
makes it undeniable.
I understand what you're saying.
You know, the other thing that I was going to mention too is that when I had this feeling, guess what triggered it?
What?
The song.
And I wasn't listening to music.
Okay. But that's just another thing that I've mentioned on this podcast
the
before.
The power of music.
When I had my head down, it was when I was listening to the song. The music was playing and I'm hearing the kids' voices saying hello in different languages.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, when you played that for me, I was,
emotional.
Yeah.
And that's not a religious thing. So imagine if it has a religious context to it, how much more powerful and brainwashing that could be. I've witnessed it.
Yeah, I can see that. And I understand it. I really do.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm walking into that I am.
Yeah.
That's how I am creating. I am.
Yeah.
But there's still that lingering, the spiritual experience that I had that was very spontaneous.
Yeah.
Very spontaneous. I was taking the girls a bath.
One of the things that I mentioned to those Mormon kids, I shared a couple books with them. And one of them was that because he did share, I shared with them that you had a spiritual experience. And I'm like, look, I told these guys, I'm like, I've never had one. So I have to have one. And now I have, actually. And maybe next time they come by, I'll share it with them. And be like, I've had one. And I know what it was. Let me share it with you.
Yeah.
Because the only way you change the world is to teach.
Right. Yeah.
And the other
call
thing.
that a disciple.
Call it what you want.
Yeah.
Call me what you want. Some people would be like, that's fucking blasphemous. But the other thought was like, sometimes I do know I get passionate about stuff. And I have to be thoughtful. That's where the second thought came in, is that I have to be thoughtful about how I bring these things up.
Yes.
Because
that's the feminine.
You can't teach unless people are willing to listen. And
you're coming from a good place.
Right. I want to try and fucking help things.
Yes.
And
because then it will stop the division. It'll stop the separation when we realize who we are.
And that's kind of what, led me to talk to these guys. And I hope they come back and we can talk some more, and that's actually like, it's different. Now it's like when somebody comes by, it's like, oh, come fucking knock on this door. I'll be like, soliciting, please. Let's put it on the door, and I'll have a talk with you. You want to talk? And that's another thing that I've also decided is like, if you ask me, I will tell you.
Yeah.
If you don't, like, I may not say anything, but if you do ask me, I will tell you what I think and how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was really cool to have that experience. It was really cool to like really understand what the hell it was. Like after that, because man, I understand. There are no words to explain what I was feeling in that moment. And when I was hearing those words in my head, there is no word to, you would think that was God talking to you.
But it was your higher self. It was your consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was your,
it's me.
For me, it's your spirit. It's your higher self. And there's higher levels to it. There's higher levels. The more you get into it, the more things will start to will unfold, and the more things will start to make sense.
Yes.
In the I am. Do you understand?
Yes.
In
so
the I am.
Before we get out of here, that is a good thing for us to end on. Like, you're going to a different level. And I keep telling you, I have a pretty fucking good feeling this is the final level. When you understand I am it, this is it, we are it, that's the final level. There's not more. Like, when you stop searching for all this extra shit, that's the final level. When you understand it is what it is, when you fully accept everything.
Yeah.
And that I am it.
Yeah.
That's the final level. Now, there's a lot of times where it's like there has to be more. And that there has to be more is where you start getting into you can't prove anything at all. Right? Mm-hmm. Recently, we've had all kinds of people bring up UFOs and shit that they've seen, Navy spacecraft, the Tic Tac videos. You know, recently they just found another UFO somewhere. Like, and I've kind of thought about this. Like, all this UFO information, you would think that if anybody would be interested in this stuff, who would it be? Probably me, because I'm into space and the universe and all that kind of stuff. So, like, if there's UFOs out there, I'd probably want to I don't give a fuck about UFOs. I could give two shits about UFOs. You know why? Because just like religion, just like all these other things, you got some shitty fucking video and some guy saying I saw something.
Yeah.
Zero fucking proof for anything. Mm-hmm. Now, yesterday, we were watching a video from an astrophysicist that is studying images from the new James Webb telescope that they put out in space of a planet that is in a different solar system than ours. Like, so far away that I don't even know if we can really understand unless you study that type of shit. That there's a certain combination of gases on this planet that can only be found if there is life on that planet. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a very, very complicated process to verify and figure out if that is actually what it is. Mm-hmm. We were listening to this physicist talk about that, and he was saying that even when he found it, he kept it quiet for about a week because he's like, I don't know if I want to fucking put this out there. And then he brought it out to his team studied it, and they're like, dude, we're kind of seeing the same things you're seeing. Mm-hmm. And now they're going to take more images. They're going to do more studies. They haven't said that there is life on this planet. Mm-hmm. It could turn out that there is nothing on this planet. The thing is that I am so much more excited about that than whatever UFO Tic Tac video of a fighter jet or some dude that got abducted in New Mexico. You know, like, these guys are doing actual studies, research with science. And the others, like, it seems like it's some bullshit that they want us to fucking focus on. Like, what is going on when these videos come out? Right? Did something happen? Are they distracting us from something?
Yeah.
Because you're showing me some bullshit and these guys are doing actual science over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could give a fuck about a flying saucer, but I care more about, like, some microorganism that could be at the bottom of the ocean on some other planet.
Yeah.
Because that seems more real. Because it's tangible. Like, we're fucking trying to figure it out. There's a difference. Just like the multiverse and all this other, like, at a certain point, I don't give a fuck. You have no, like, I'm not wasting my time with that.
Yeah.
So there are differences to things.
We are here to experience what we're here to experience on this earth in this lifetime.
That is true.
And to unfold who we truly are. I am.
I agree. And you are too. And with that, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Like I said, go to our Clips channel, share it with somebody else. Shop through our link and help us out when you guys are doing your Mother's Day shopping.
Yes. Thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract Podcast.
Where we get better
together.
Bye.